SpectrumTv, broadening your horizon.
Hello and welcome to Spectrum News. I am Francis Adate, coming to you live from the beautiful hills of Ibiakodwan. Let's take a look at the headlines. President Buhari arrived Dubai for Expo 2020. Court orders DSS to allow Nnamdi Kanu maximum comfort to practice his fate in detention. China summons Japan envoy over former Prime Minister Abe's comments. Details of these stories and more in a moment. We're beginning this afternoon with a report that President Muhammadu Buhari has arrived in Dubai to attend the Expo 2020 in the United Arab Emirates. The Expo 2020 Dubai is aimed at creating an environment for Nigerians to join over 119 countries to forge true and meaningful partnership. According to a statement by the President's spokesman, Femi Adesina, the Expo will provide an opportunity for the Nigerian delegation to highlight significant strides in the economy in the last 6 years as a basis for making the country an important destination for foreign direct investment. Additionally, added that the President will also receive in audience prospective investors as well as meet with His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi and Deputy Supreme Commander of the United Arab Emirates Armed Forces, and Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, Vice President and Prime Minister of the United Arab Emirates and rulers of the Emirate of Dubai. In the meantime, President Muhammadu Buhari has expressed regret over the boat accident in Bagua local government area of Kano State, in which 36 deaths were reported. In a message to sympathize with the government and people of Kano State over the incident, the President assured the state government of the support of all federal agencies in the state as rescue operations continue. To the judiciary now, where Federal High Court sitting in Abuja has ordered the Department of State Services, DSS, to allow the leader of the proscribed hip-hop group, Nnamdi Kanu, to have maximum possible comfort while in their custody. The trial judge, Justice Binta Jakor, who gave the order, also ordered the DSS to allow Nnamdi Kanu to have a change of clothes, medical attention, and allow him to practice his faith. Justice Jakor also said that the matter for the day was for abridgment of time, as the issue of bail and jurisdiction of the court did not come up for determination. The judge brought for the hearing of the case forward by a day, January 18, 2022, from the initial date of January 19, for a hearing of pending applications, which includes the jurisdiction of the court and competence of the charge. Meanwhile, the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, says the issue of pardoning the leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, is premature. During a televised interview, Malami said pardon was a function of conviction in the Nigerian context and that Nnamdi Kanu had not been convicted yet. But stressing his point, the minister said the trial associated with Kanu had not been concluded, and as such, the pardon option cannot get on the table just yet.
Over his failure on the same date, over his failure to appear in court for hearing. He has, often jumping bail, been accused of engaging in subversive activities that include inciting violence through television, radio, and online broadcast against the Nigerian state and institutions. Kanu was also accused of instigating violence, especially in the southeastern Nigeria, that resulted in the loss of lives and property of civilians, military, paramilitary, police force, and destruction of civil institutions and symbols of civil authorities. Self-acclaimed leader of the proscribed secessionist indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, has, for your information, been intercepted through the collaborative efforts of the Nigerian intelligence and security services. He has been brought back to Nigeria in order to continue facing trial after disappearing while on bail regarding 11-count charge against him.
On INEC, the Independent National Electoral Commission has broken its silence on a letter written to it by President Muhammadu Buhari over the contentious Electoral Act Amendment Bill. The president, who received the bill on November 19, has until December 19 to sign it or withhold his assent and communicate to the National Assembly his view and comments about it. The electoral umpire was quoted by saying, after 30 days, the president refuses to sign the bill and the National Assembly, not in support of the president's amendment or reservation, that the Senate and the House of Representatives can recall the bill and pass it into law. Reacting to the president's letter on Wednesday, INEC National Commissioner and Chairman of its Information and Voter Education Committee, Festus Okoye, said its position constitutionally, legally, and administratively was that the electoral management body was the end user of the electoral legal framework. Elsewhere, federal government has thrown its weight behind the Lagos state government's white paper on the report of the judicial panel set up to probe cases of police brutality and shooting at the Lekki toll gate, promising to take further actions. Recall that the Lagos state government rejected key recommendations of the panel's report, especially the one that bothered on shooting at Lekki toll gate by security agents. The Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, senior advocate of Nigeria, who spoke in an interview as regards the white paper, said the report depends on the perspective one looks at it and the prevailing laws that are in context. He further said when one talks about laws that are exclusively applicable to the Federation and context of the actual situation, that it was not out of place to arrive at a conclusion. On legislative matters, senators amended the National Health Insurance Act, repealed and reenacted Enactment Bill 2021, which was passed by the National Assembly in April last year. The Red Chamber, however, at plenary considered a motion sponsored by the Senate leader Yahaya Abdullahi for the recommittal of some clauses. Reading the lead debate on behalf of the Senate leader, the Deputy Leader Ajayi Boroface explained that the decision of the National Assembly to amend the bill was in line with the need to address all observations raised by the President. Accordingly, the upper chamber deleted Clause 20 of the bill, which provides for third-party administrator. It also amended the provisions of Clause 28 sub 2 on the implementation of the Basic Health Care Fund. Still on the legislative matters, the House of Representatives has mandated the Inspector General of Police, Usman Al-Khali Baba, to ensure the removal of illegal and unnecessary police and military checkpoints on all roads in the country. The House also directed him to remove all the wooden barriers across the roads as it affects lifespans of roads. It further mandated its Committee on Works to investigate the status of road concessions that has been given out in the past 6 months and report back within 2 weeks for further legislative actions. The resolutions of the lawmakers were sequel to the adoption of a motion of urgent public importance on the need to investigate loss of many lives on the Onitsha-Owerri Expressway within Ihiala Federal Constituency, which was sponsored by Chudi Momo of Abga, Anambra. Moving the motion, Momo noted that for over 2 years, military and police checkpoints on Onitsha-Owerri Expressway in Ihiala has been operational to quell insecurity in the area. However, he lamented that road users have since been subjected to devastating, degrading and inhuman treatment occasioned by the operation of the military and police checkpoints in that area. Away from that, a federal high court in Abuja has dismissed a suit seeking disqualification of former governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Professor Charles Soludo, as Anambra State governor-elect. Delivering judgment in the suit instituted by Adinu Valentine and Chukwuebuka Egudike, Justice Taiwo described the suit as a frivolous, irritating, baseless, and lacking of merit. Taiwo accused the plaintiffs of seeking to use the court to scuttle democracy and awarded 2 million naira against them to be paid to Soludo and Deputy Governor-elect Onyeka Ibezim. Recall that the plaintiff had urged that Soludo gave false information in the affidavit form EC9 he submitted to the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) and should therefore be disqualified from contesting the governorship position. In Nasarawa State, Governor Abdullahi Sule has offered automatic employment to 2 daughters of former chairman of the All Progressive Congress in the state, Philip Shekwo, who was murdered at his residence last year. Speaking during the first memorial lecture organized in honor of their late father, Sule explained that the gesture was in fulfillment of the promise he made to the family. The governor said the employment of the daughters of the slain chairman, Zipporah and Jadida Philip Shekwo, was with immediate effect in order for them to remain focused in the pursuit of their respective endeavors. The governor appreciated the family for the unity that has existed among them since their father was murdered by gunmen who stormed his residence last year and vowed to ensure that the killers were prosecuted. And back here in Akwa Ibom State Governor Udomi Manjol has again called on the people of the state to make conscious efforts to protect themselves against contracting the dreaded coronavirus disease, especially the new variant called Omicron. The governor, who made the appeal while taking delivery of some quantities of hand sanitizers donated to the state by Saraya, Japan, said the people can protect themselves by maintaining a high level of hygiene and adhering to all non-pharmaceutical safety measures put in place by the government. Governor Emmanuel, who thanked the Japanese firm for the donations, called on the company to site a sanitizer production facility in the state and provide other medical consumables as well as funds to manage the COVID-19 crisis in the state, while directing that the sanitizers should be shared widely, especially to government offices, hospitals, schools, and worship centers. The governor charged the Ministry of Health and other stakeholders, as well as the COVID-19 committee, to embark on effective sensitization to prevent incursion of the Omicron variant of the disease in the state. Earlier in a speech, the State Commissioner for Health, Professor Augustine Omor, had warned against selling of the hand sanitizers, saying that those caught selling the sanitizers would be dealt with. About 2 units of 40-feet containers of hand sanitizers were presented to the state government by Saraya of Japan. Meanwhile, the Akwa Ibom state government has again urged residents of the state to get themselves vaccinated with the coronavirus vaccine. State Commissioner for Health, Professor Augustine Omo, who made the plea, said about 91,070 persons have so far been vaccinated in the state. The commissioner, however, noted that some of those who took the AstraZeneca or Moderna vaccine as first doses have not returned for a second dose of the vaccines. Professor Omo also appealed to the people of the state to continue to observe all non-pharmaceutical COVID-19 preventive measures as put together by the government. In Africa, Ethiopian government says troops have recaptured the historic town of Lalibela from Tigrerian rebels. This is the latest victory claimed by the government since Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed went to the front lines last week to lead the fight back. Ethiopia's Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, who spoke during a meeting with soldiers as he joins the battlefront against rebel groups for the second time, said the enemy has been defeated, adding that the remaining task is to rout the enemy and destroy them. Meanwhile, other towns retaken from the rebels included Shewa, Robit, about 220 kilometers from Addis Ababa. On the foreign scene, China's foreign minister has summoned Japan's ambassador in Beijing, Hindu Tarumi, for an emergency meeting. This comes after former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe said neither his country nor the United States could stand by if China attacked Taiwan. In a statement, the Assistant Foreign Minister Hu Chun-ying called Abe's remark erroneous and a violation of basic norms of relations between China and Japan in the meeting. Hu said Abe's comment openly challenged China's sovereignty and gave brazen support to Taiwan independent forces. Still on the foreign scene, the U.S. Supreme Court appears poised to accept a Mississippi law that would bar abortions after 15 weeks of pregnancy, even in cases of rape and incest. In yesterday's hearing into the case, conservative justices hinted that a majority backed upholding the law in the years since the fetal viability standard has acted. Meanwhile, lawyers defending the Mississippi law have asked the court to overturn two previous landmark decisions regarding abortion. The first, 1973's Roe v. Wade, gave women in the U.S. an absolute right to an abortion in the first 3 months of pregnancy and limited rights in the second trimester. In 1992, it Planned Parenthood versus Casey, the court ruled that states could not place an undue burden on women seeking abortions before a fetus could survive outside the womb at about 24 weeks. Anti-abortion activists are urging the court to protect unborn children, but experts warn of an increase in maternal mortality if abortion is restricted. Report says a ruling expected in June may see millions of women lose abortion access. And still to come on the news, Women Tennis Association suspends tournaments in China over Xia's disappearance. Stay with us. Thanks for staying tuned. In our business news, Nigeria external reserves have reportedly fallen by $610 million in the last month. Figures obtained from the Central Bank of Nigeria show that the reserve dropped to $41.2 billion as of November 29 from $41.8 billion on October 29. The CBN said at the present level, the external reserve could meet the country's 9-month import demand with support from the bank's demand management policy. In health, COVID-19 cases in Nigeria have increased by 52 to 214,270. The new cases comprise 29 infected persons in Lagos, 12 in the FCT, 4 in Kaduna, 3 in Bauchi, 2 in Kano, and 1 each in Ogun State and Oyo State. 207,312 persons have so far been discharged, while 2,978 have died from the virus. In sports, the Women's Tennis Association has announced the immediate suspension of all tournaments in China amid concern for Chinese tennis player Peng Shuai. The 35-year-old disappeared from public view for 3 weeks after accusing a top Chinese official of sexual assault. Still in sport, Qatar has inaugurated 2 FIFA World Cup 2022 stadium, Al Bayt and 974 on the opening day of the FIFA Arab Cup 2021. Al Bayt, a 60,000-seater venue designed to resemble the tent historically used by nomadic people in the Gulf region, hosted Qatar's 1-0 victory against Bayern. The stadium will also host the opening match of Qatar 2022 in just under a year. The inauguration of the Bayt was attended by the Emir of Qatar, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, who officially announced the start of the tournament. On our entertainment news, Alec Baldwin says he never pulled the trigger of the gun that shot director of photography Helena Hutchins on the set of Rust. Speaking in an excerpt released from his first sit-down interview since the October shooting, Baldwin said he has no idea how a live bullet got into the Colt .45 revolver he used in the scene, stressing that someone put a live bullet in the gun. According to him, the set tragedy was the worst thing